Hi guys, welcome back to How We Cope. I wanted to talk today just shortly about having an unconditional relationship with God. And I think that for some people this comes really easily, but for some it doesn't. And I think that, recently I had an experience. I've had plenty of experiences, but recently I had an experience where I lost someone super dear to me to cancer. This would be the second time I've lost someone to cancer in my life. And this person was particularly religious, and it had me questioning, like, what's the point? What's the point of being religious and following all the quote unquote rules if we're just going to be striked at an early age? And so I think that I answered a lot of my own questions, and then with speaking to my spiritual coaches and leaders, it also brought up a lot of things for me that I wanted to share with you guys. And, the thing that I came up with on my own, which is deeply rooted in Kabbalah also, is the fact that, religious or not, if we can think about the Creator unconditionally loving us, it's that you don't have to do everything that I wanted you to do perfectly in order to live a good life. I don't treat people differently, right? Death comes to everyone. The kings, the poorest of the poor, and the most religious and the non-religious. And so in a way, it's like we could be really angry with God for concepts of death, concepts of hardship, or we could say that He loves us all so much that He can't treat us differently. And I think that really brought comfort to me in a time where I was so frustrated that somebody that was so devout in their religious beliefs was just struck a really hard card and had to die at such a young age. And, as I spoke to one of my spiritual coaches about this, my question was like, what is the point? What is the point? Why do we do all this? And what they said to me was, do you do things for the outcome? And I know why they said this to me, because I really preach not doing things for the outcome. I preach for doing things for the experience of it. And if we do things for the outcome, that's quite a conditional relationship that we have with the God, with the universe. Whatever it is that you choose to believe in. But what that would mean is I only do quote unquote good because I'm going to get something from it. Meaning I'm only a good person because I think that will give me a more fruitful life, or that will extend my life. But that's not really why we should be doing what we do, right? We should be doing it because it makes us happy to give. It makes us happy to be a good person, or maybe even at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. And because we would like to believe that we're more morally inclined to do these things. And so I think that having an unconditional relationship with God in that sense is to live your life in a place where you feel really passionate about your community, about your religion, about why you do what you do. And it's not to actually receive something, it's for the sake of wanting to give it. And if you think about your relationship with God in the way that you think about it with a parent, you can be really obedient to your parent, but that doesn't mean that you're close to your parent. And what brings closeness in a relationship? Love. Love brings closeness in a relationship. That's what defines the difference between just being obedient or behaving, quote unquote, to, actually feeling a sense of connection with the Creator and with the universe. And a lot of that has to do with gratitude. And where I bring gratitude practice into this is that a lot of people are like, oh, my prayer, it didn't happen for me. My prayers haven't come true. Or what's the point of prayer? A question I used to ask a lot. But the point of prayer is one for connection, but it's also really important to ask yourself, have none of your prayers been answered? Right? Can you really say that to yourself? Because I highly doubt it's true. And it's not in our control which one of those prayers are answered and aren't. We have to trust, and I know that's really difficult for a lot of people to do, but we have to trust that the ones that are supposed to be blessed to us are the ones that are supposed to happen, and the other ones that haven't doesn't mean that it's not supposed to. It's just not the time. And I think with that being said, it doesn't mean that we're not allowed to feel sad or angry with God. I think that would be unrealistic. I think that's unrealistic of any relationship we have with anyone. We're supposed to feel anger and sadness and frustration in our relationship with the Creator. Why? Because that's how we grow. I mean, think about it. Have you ever gotten into a fight with a friend or your partner or a family member and then recovered from it? You guys are so much closer. You learned so much more about each other. So I actually think that, these bad moments happen in order to increase not only our faith, but our closeness to the universe, to the Creator. And just because it's Hanukkah, I think the story, I'm Jewish for anyone that's listening, I've probably said that 100 times, but, if you know the story about Hanukkah, it's that the temple was being destroyed. And it was being destroyed, and they only had a limited amount of light to light the menorah, and they did. And it lasted 8 days. And amidst this deep, deep, dark time of evilness of people that wanted to destroy the Jewish people, the people that wanted to destroy the place of worship for them, which I think is really relevant even in our modern day society. It's not just anti-Semitism, it's anything, right? Where there's Islamophobia, there's Christians being murdered in Nigeria. There's a lot of horrible things going on around the world where we're not tolerating each other in our belief systems. And nonetheless, in a really dark time where people could have been tested, people could have said, you know what, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm not going to be faithful anymore because bad things are happening to me. That what they did in the Hanukkah story is actually did the complete opposite of denial, opposite of turning away. They increased their faith so much more, and a miracle happened, right? That's why it's called the miracle holiday. And I think that, again, if you think about people that went through the Holocaust, if you think about people that go through any type of religious outcasting that are murdering, that the people actually remained in their faith, and that's what helped them survive. And so there's this quote, I didn't memorize it, but I'm just going to say it. It says that light is more powerful when it shines specifically in darkness, not apart from it. So the purpose of light is to illuminate the darkness. And I think where I take from this is that God doesn't ask us to find Him after the pain, after this really horrible thing happened. He asks us to bring Him in it. And I think that's really important, to not feel, again, this conditional relationship between the two, in which one you have to choose between the other. Going back to this metaphor of your relationship with God being similar to your relationship with your parents, you can't only love your parents. You can't only want to be connected to your parents when they give you what you want, right? We would be spoiled brats. And so I think that that's really relevant here when we think about what a power it is to love God, even if all the desires we have in our life haven't come true. At some point, whether it's our health, whether it's the fact that we can walk, whether it's the fact that we could see, the fact that we could hear, the fact that we felt love in our life, even the fact that we felt heartbreak in our life. These are experiences that people don't ever have. So at some point in our life, a blessing has walked in. And a lot of those blessings are things that we don't even see, right? You could have gone on a drive on a freeway, someone else got into an accident and you didn't. So I think a really, really important thing to realize is that to be in a real connection with someone, especially to be in a real connection with God, that love has to be unconditional. Thank you, guys.
Hey everyone, welcome to How We Cope podcast, a podcast dedicated to elevating your life by your host, Nicole Nurian. This podcast is sponsored by Culver City Chevrolet, where you can lease a Chevy Equinox for $189 a month. Mention you're a subscriber of How We Cope podcast to unlock the special deal.